Welcome back now for part 10 called Everything is Coming Up Roses by our beautiful Kathy. We need to be starting on the wrong side, so let's get flipped over, joined up with our colours, and we'll start row 1 in a second. Back soon. Okay, so our first row is easy. We need to join in the very first stitch. You can either make a starting stitch or a chain 1 and a single crochet, or a standing single crochet like me. So this row is nice and easy. We're just doing single crochet all the way down the line. So keep tabs on your stitch counts. So let's get to the other end. Then you need to chain 2, my dears. Chain 2 and turn, and we'll get together again for row 2. Shouldn't take too long. For row 2 we have a chain 2 that we made at the end of row 1, and we are back to the beginning, to the front of our work I should say, not the beginning. So the chain 2 counts as our first half double crochet, or you can use a starting stitch if you wish. Now the next thing we need to do is make a single crochet chain 2 V-stitch in the next stitch. So that's basically a V-stitch but with 2 variances. One is that we're making them with single crochet, not double crochet as usual, and we're also making a chain 2 in the middle, not a chain 1 as per usual. So normally a V-stitch is double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. We are making single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. So let's do it. In the next stitch, single crochet, chain 2 and single crochet. Now we're going to start our repeat. It says skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, there, and make a single crochet, chain 2, V-stitch in the next stitch. So skip over here, single crochet, chain 2 and single crochet into the same stitch. That's the whole repeat. Skip, single crochet, chain 2, V-stitch, chain 2, single crochet into the same space. It's kind of hard to see, but we are creating a little gap here in there, right in between the 2 single crochet and there. So that's what you have to do all the way down. Skip 2 and a single crochet, chain 2 and single crochet all the way down. Skip, single crochet, chain 2 and single crochet. That should bring you all the way down, and you should finish up in the second last stitch. That's where your last single crochet, chain 2, V-stitch will go. You'll have 1 stitch left, and you need to make a half double crochet in that stitch and turn. But let's get to here and I'll rejoin you. So here I am, almost finished. I need to do 1 last repeat. So skip, single crochet, chain 2 and single crochet in the second last stitch. That leaves me 1 final stitch here with my knot, and I'm going to put a half double crochet into that one, and that completes that round. Now if you're continuing your yarn, you need to chain 2 and turn. I however am going to change my yarn because, as I've mentioned right at the very beginning of this whole project, I'm using stash and scraps, and I haven't got a lot left. Or I do have some, but I want to conserve this colour for something else, maybe for the 3rd set. But I'm going to change my colour and I'll come back with you for row 3. Row 3, and because I'm starting a new colour, I'm going to do something a little bit different than most of you. If you have a turning chain, a chain 2, that's good, or you might have a starting stitch for your first double crochet. I need to use a standing double crochet, so that's what I'm going to do into my very first stitch, which is this one here that has the knot in it. I need to make a standing double crochet. But as I said, if you have a chain 2 or a starting stitch, that's perfect. Okay, now let's start. The next thing we need to do is put 2 double crochet into the first chain 2 space of that V-stitch. So we're only going to be working in these chain 2 spaces of these single crochet, chain 2 V's. So into here, into the chain space, I'm going to put 2 more double crochet, 1 and 2. Okay, and now your whole repeat is going to be putting 3 double crochet in each chain 2 space down the line, nowhere else and nothing else. 3 of them straight into the center of that chain 2 from the V-stitch. Nice and easy all the way down. Oh, I'm glad I changed colour. They look like flowers. So get that done until you get to the last chain 2 space. Oops, let me just finish this group. Nothing convoluted here. That's it. So we have 1 in the starting chain or the turning chain or whatever, or the first stitch, whatever you've got, and then 2 only, just 2 in that very first one. Then 3, 3, 3 all the way down the line till you come to the last one. In the last one, you're only going to put 2 again, just like at the beginning. We're only going to put 2 at the beginning and the end, and then you'll make a double crochet in your last stitch here, which was the half double crochet. Okay, all right, I'll get myself to here and I'll catch up with you so we can go around, turn together. Okay, so here I am. There's the last chain 2 V-stitch. I'm going to put only 2 double crochet into that, just 2, and then I need 1 double crochet in the last stitch, which is actually your turning chain from below. So 1 double crochet in there. And now we have to fasten off and secure ends if we're following the pattern. Even though I'm not following the pattern, I'm also going to fasten off and secure my ends, and I'll be back shortly for row 4. Now, row 4, before we move on, I think I need to have a little chat, because we'll be working some stitches in the back loop only, but there will be a slight difference in what we're going to do here as opposed to what's in the prelude. Working in the back loop only, the prelude describes trying to pick up the 3rd loop of the stitches. Now first I'm going to show you what that means in normal crochet, when you're working in the round and you're always facing the right way up. So this is the right way up, but these stitches were made from the back. So for these double crochet, this is their right side, but we made them from the wrong side. So when you're trying to pick up the 3rd loop, this is the front loop here. This one is the back loop. And I'll zoom in a bit tighter now. Actually, I'll go even tighter than that so you can see the 3rd loop. So here's the front loop, there's the back loop, and normally on a stitch right here behind it is the 3rd loop, right there. So we'd usually recommend people to pick up both the back and 3rd loop for strength and stability in the work. So when you're making your back loop only stitches, you have 2 loops on your hook. Now because we made these double crochet from the wrong side of the work, and now we're going to flip over and be working from the right side of the work, we're looking at the back of the stitch. Right? That changes the equation a bit. So when we have to find the back loops only, everything's in reverse. So now this is the front loop, which previously was the back loop. And there is the 3rd loop, which is now sitting in the front. So what do? Okay, we pick up what is now the back loop, but was originally the front loop. So we're going to pick that up. And we suggest that you then try and pick up this diagonal loop from the double crochet. That's the front of the stitch. You see that? That's a diagonal loop from the front of the stitch. When you did your yarn over, pull through 2, creates that loop. Then you do yarn over, pull through 2 again, and it creates this loop. So you still get to pick up 2 loops, but you're picking up an actual part of the stitch, not from the top loops. So let's try that, shall we? I just thought I'd better clarify that, because if you're working from behind, you might be stuck and thinking, well, my 3rd loop is here, what do? We can create a 3rd loop at the back using the diagonal loop, and that's what I will try to do. All right, so that's all I want to say on that. Let's get set up and get started with row 4 for real. Okay, so for row 4, if you are continuing your yarn, you will have needed a chain 2 at the end of the previous row to turn. The rest of us are going to make a standing half double crochet into that first stitch or the last stitch of the previous row. So just in there, a standing half double crochet like that. Now we're going to try and make the back loop only stitch. So find the back loop first. This is the front loop now. It used to be the back loop, but from this side it's the front loop. There's the back loop. And now we need to come round to the back. Let me just grab this and pick up that diagonal loop there to give us the 2 loops. So that's our new pretend third loop. And that makes my single crochet. Then chain 2 and another single crochet straight back into that same space. And that's that. Back loop only, single crochet, chain 2, V-stitch. Okay, now we're going to start our repeat, and it says after the bold square bracket, single crochet, chain 2 V-stitches in the back loop only of the center double crochet of the next 3 double crochet shell. So here's the 3 double crochet shell. There's the center stitch right there. Here there are 3 stitches there, so we're going into that one. So let's do it again. Down from the top, and we're going to come over and pick up that diagonal loop. It won't be easy all the time, especially if you're trying to do it blindly on an angle like I am. Pick up that loop, pull through, make a single crochet, chain 2 and make another one. Now I'm going to tell you also, because we don't like people getting stressed, that if you can't manage that third loop, then just use the back loop like that. I know it's pulling a little bit, but that will even out as the blanket grows. So if you're struggling too much to pick up that third loop from the diagonal bar, just use the back loop. I promise you it won't look this bad when the work continues. I'll do a few more and I'll show you. So I'm just using just the one back loop at the moment for convenience, and I'm using my scraps, so I hope I've got enough to get to the other end. Now, when the blanket gets some weight on it, it does pull back a little bit. It will still be a little bit more gappy, but it shouldn't be too bad. So here we've caught both loops, the back and one of the diagonal loops for a third loop, and here we've only picked up the back loop. So have a bit of a fiddle with it and see what works best for you. And then do the whole row. I'll do one more with the third loop. So we come over to the middle stitch, pick up the back loop, and then grab that diagonal loop. Make a chain 2 and go back into the same spot for the other part of that V-stitch. It does look neater when you pick up the third loop, I won't deny it, but honestly, in the scheme of things, you have to do what works. Alright, so make a decision about that, work yourself all the way down to the other end, and I'll meet you here in the last group of 3 and we'll finish off the end together. Back soon. Okay, so I'll do the last one in the group of 3, so we come over, pinch both loops if possible, ignore me if you're not doing it that way. And that's the last one in a group of 3. Now we have to come over here, we have to skip 2 stitches, which is the last double crochet here and the first one here, because I want to land in the middle stitch again like we did at the beginning, and do one more of those back loop only. Now just take a minute and figure out where you are. So there's one stitch, there's the middle, and that's my end. Okay, so I've got to come down in here and pick up those loops. There we go, and make a final single crochet, chain 2 V-stitch like that. And then the very last thing we're going to do is a half double crochet in the very last stitch. Now if you have a chain 2, or I mean I had a standing stitch, but if you have a chain 2, please just go into the top of the chain 2, and that's it. Oh, and I made it, look. About yarn chicken. Alright, so let's just zoom back out a minute so we can see what we're looking at. So there is mine, and I was able to get into that third loop. Took a bit of effort, I'm not going to lie, but if you didn't do it, there's no harm done. Seriously, don't stress. Now I'm going to change my colour at the end of this again. If you're not, you need to chain 2 and turn. I'm just going to pull that out and turn. Don't forget to turn, guys. So we're now back to the wrong side of the work, and we're going to be repeating some stitch work here. So let me just get my head together and I'll explain to you what's happening next. Okay, so I'm not going to work the next 3 rows together with you because they're repeats. We are going to repeat row 3 twice and row 4 one more time. So here's the sequence. You can see we've got row 3 here and row 4 there. We're going to do another row 3, one more row 4, and then a final row 3 above it. Okay, so remembering that we just have to flip from here. We have to be on the wrong side for row 3. Row 3, this white row, is made from the wrong side. So row 5 is next, the repeat of row 3. You're going to start on the wrong side. You can go back to read row 3, or you can scroll back on the video to see row 3 again. But we start with either a chain 2, a starting stitch, or a standing double crochet. Either way, it doesn't matter. And then the next thing we did was put just two double crochet into the chain space to give us a group of 3 at the beginning. After that, we just put 3 double crochet in every one of those chain 2 V-stitch spaces, okay, till the end, in which we reverse what we did at the beginning. We put 2 only in the final one, and then 1 double crochet in the very last stitch, okay. Then you have to turn again and make another row 4, which I just showed you not long ago. So remembering that your stitch work goes into the back loop only of every middle double crochet, and you can try and pick up the 3rd loop, or you can choose not to. There are no punishable offences here. This is your work. Do it however works best for you. So one more row 3 from the reverse, one more row 4 from the right side, and then a final row 3 from the reverse, and I will join you at the end of that and talk you through the last 2 rows, which are 8 and 9. The one thing I need you to remember is when you finish row 7, which is another repeat of row 3, I want you to end with a chain 1, but I'll remind you when we get there. It's just a chain. You can always pull one chain out. All right? Repeat row 3, then row 4, then row 3 again, and those will count as rows 5, 6, and 7 for you. That's row 3, that's row 4. I'll leave you with it, and we'll reconvene when we're all ready. Okay, so here I am. I have finished up to row 7, which was a final repeat of row 3. And the note in row 7 says to end this repeat with a chain 1 and turn. Now I'm going to change my yarn again, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to make a knot and secure my ends, and I'm going to turn. So after all of that work, this is what you should have. You'd have 3 sets of these double crochet, and there are 2 in between of those single crochet chain 2 V-stitches. There is also one down here. Okay, so you have 3 sets of those single crochet chain 2s, 3 sets of these double crochets as well. And now we'll move on to row 8. Okay, so working from the right side now, we're going to start simply with a single crochet in the very first stitch. Now you may be continuing, you had that chain 1, you turn, you make a single crochet in the same stitch that has the chain 1, and then this is a very easy row of just single crochet in every stitch all the way down. At the end of this row 8, you're going to make a stitch in the last stitch and then make a chain 1 and turn and do another row of single crochet. So let me get to the end, we'll turn together and come back for the final pass on this beautiful section. I'll be back soon. Here I am at the end of row 8. Made my final single crochet and my chain 1, so I can turn around, make a single crochet again in that very first stitch that has the chain in it, and then we finish with another row of single crochet all the way down. And that finishes part 10, Pretty Roses. Okay, I'll leave you to finish all the way down. Don't forget your last stitch, and fasten off and secure your ends if you're changing colours for ATM. If not, you'll just need a chain 1 to turn, so you can continue on with ATM, which continues from the right side, which is very convenient because you have to turn anyway, and you'll be set to start your ATMs. So let's all finish up. This is what it will look like from the right side when you're done, with these 2 layers of single crochet to finish off and frame the stitch work really nicely over there. Alright, so once we've all done with this one, which is called Everything is Coming Up Roses by Kathy, we will meet again for part 11. Catch you then.